When people ask me whether they should rent or buy in France, they're rarely asking about money. What they really want, I believe anyway, is certainty. Certainty that France is truly the right move and that a part of France actually fits the way they want to spend the next decade of their lives. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Buying early gives you the illusion of certainty, not the reality of it. I've seen it time and time again. People fly in for a long weekend, fall in love with a stone facade or a quiet village they saw on YouTube previously, and convince themselves that buying will make the dream real. It feels decisive, it feels like progress, but often it just means locking yourself into a place and a life you haven't really stress tested yet. The results of that is they struggle to integrate. They live more online than day to day. They pour themselves into renovation projects because it's the only part of the whole thing, I guess, at this point that feels rewarding. And while their friends back home think they're living the dream, they quietly wonder whether they've traded freedom for permanence a little too soon. Now, let's flip it. When someone rents first, even for a year, I think everything changes. They discover new regions, they meet people who reshape their expectations, they build a sense of belonging that isn't tied to a postcode. And most importantly, they gain confidence that they're actually making the right long-term call. Take recent clients who helped Scott and his family. They wanted a base in France to be closer to relatives further in Europe, but they also needed to stay connected to the States for work. They knew they had to be within reach of Paris for flights, but beyond that, no idea where to call home at all. Buying felt too risky and they were uneasy about it as a result. So in the end, we found them a place about 20 minutes from the Brittany coast, affordable, flexible, and extremely well connected. That rental became their French headquarters, their launchpad. Next year, when they start searching to buy, they'll do it with actual data, with context, and I believe anyway, with a hell of a lot more confidence had they tried to do it this year instead. That's ultimately what this stage is really about. You should view renting as your experiment, your low weight, low commitment test of community, accessibility, and rhythm. It lets you evaluate the feel of France before worrying about the aesthetics of a property. Interestingly, the French property market isn't a mirror of the UK or US. It doesn't ride the same roller coaster. It moves slower with lower volatility and 1,000 little sub-niches, each with their own little heartbeat. Here, space isn't at a premium in the same way. Homes are less about speculation and more about roots. So when people ask me, when does it make sense for us to buy? I always remind them this. Buy when your funding back home is secured and the sale of assets or investments done. Buy when you've properly explored your region, and buy when you have a clear plan for integration. Because owning here isn't just about a one-off transaction, it's about how your life will fit into the community that surrounds it. I guess I want to talk about red flags too. If you've picked a spot based on a weekend trip or a YouTuber's highlight reel, just pause for a bit. If you haven't learned how the commune actually works, or you're assuming you can use the property without checking local planning rules, stop. Those are the people who end up trapped and not fulfilled. From a financial standpoint, renting keeps you more liquid, it keeps you flexible, it lets you respond to opportunities or realizations that you simply just can't predict yet because you haven't got the data. Buying can, of course, be the goal, but in the early stages, I think freedom is your friend, particularly on adventures like this. And that's the shift most people need to make from I need to own to I need to understand. When that realization lands, you can almost see the weight lift. The pent-up energy behind the move releases. They stop trying to prove this decision and they start living it. So if you're debating whether to rent or buy, take this as your permission slip to slow down a little. I don't think renting is a compromise. I think it's a great strategy for most people on this path. It's the research phase of a life you'll eventually build with more certainty and far fewer regrets. Now, if you'd like weekly insights to help you make smarter decisions about this move, you can sign up for our newsletter. I've put a link in the description. And if you want to go deeper on this topic, you'll find a full blog post linked below too. Because big moves deserve clarity, not more pressure. And France rewards the people who take their time to understand it. Thanks for watching, guys.